Hello and welcome to another live episode of Wrestling with John as part of the John's Podcasting Network. And today I have the pleasure of speaking to a wrestler that's been in the business for 17, 18 years. He's also an actor that's been on TV, he's been on stage and been on the big screen as well in films like Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, Sherlock Holmes. We're going to talk about all of that during the course of this interview with Mark E. Sealey. So Mark, brilliant to have you on the podcast. How are you doing today, my friend?
Good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
I am very, very well. Even better now that we're actually doing this. It's been a long time in the making. We kind of first started chatting a few months ago, but finally we are chatting on the Wrestling with John's podcast. But first of all, Mark, I want to talk to you because a lot of people probably know you in the wrestling business as Little Legs, your gimmick, your character. But you've recently unveiled a new character, haven't you? So tell us about him. And I'll bring up a picture here, but it's Kneecapper Murphy. So, I mean, that's a picture of somebody you wouldn't want to meet down a dark alley, isn't it? Hey, tell us a bit about...
Not with that baseball bat.
About Kneecapper Murphy. So, what inspired the new gimmick after all these years then, Mark?
Well, I've been playing Little Legs for 18 years. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love him. It's because of him I'm where I am now. But I wrestled in America for the Dwarfenators. Because you're the foreigner, you're always the heel. And then I got a little taste for that, and that was back in 2018, 2019. And then I got working with Pete Bainbridge at Southwest Wrestling, and he wanted me to be his psychic, because as the commissioner, as the heel, he wanted get a group of people behind him, like the DX. And so me and him come up with Kneecapper Murphy. It was me that said Kneecapper, and he came up with Murphy.
Brilliant.
And then it evolved from there, wearing the black suit, white tie, the old sunglasses, and then it was my idea to come up with a baseball bat. Being a kneecapper, my specialty is kneecapping. So then we come up with this great idea of Kneecapper Murphy. I've now played him about 3 times so far. And the first day I did it, I made three children cry. Second day I did it, I made no kids cry. I was actually quite disappointed. But on the first day, I knew it was going to work. Because if they're scared of me, then the more scared, the more they hate you, the better it is.
Yeah, that's definitely a heel character. And am I right in thinking that Little Legs has typically been a babyface character over the years?
Always. On the day, absolutely. Especially on the camps.
So I mean, creatively then, it's such a change for you, isn't it? To go from, 17, 18 years as Little Legs, the biggest baby face on the card, to Kneecapper Murphy, probably the most horrible villain you're ever likely to see. And that must be quite refreshing for you as well as a creative person.
Absolutely. It's something different. Like I say, I love Little Legs and always will do. I never give him up. But it's just great to be a horrible little, and it's just, I've learned from some of the best heels in the business, Drew McDonald, Brody Steele, some of these guys are legends in the business. And, I've watched Mick McManus on TV, Kendo Nagasaki, everybody's seen them on the old World of Sport on a Saturday and on YouTube. You learn from the best, and especially Drew McDonald. He's just one of the best heels that I've ever met. So to be able to follow in their footsteps and be another heel on the roster, it's just great for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, what a character, what a heel persona. Just from that picture, like you say, it's enough to make babies cry, isn't it? And enough to make old women shake their walking sticks like they used to back in the Water Sports Day. But
when they had the bricks in their handbags, that's right.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them shows, but I think me and you are probably from similar generations. And I grew up in the 80s watching World of Sport, round at Manans. But what about yourself? How were you first introduced to this great sport?
I mean, I can remember when WWE first come out. I remember WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 2 was my first one. I think it was 2 anyway, with Mr. T and Hulk Hogan when they tagged against Roddy Piper. And when they used to bring all their celebrities to WrestleMania. I can remember that when Sky Sports was a cable, not a satellite. And that's where I grew up. And obviously Big Daddy and Haystacks and Mick McManus and the Barbarians. And, later on, I remember going to Blackpool to the Tower to watch wrestling. And that's when they were there. And then they did the meet and greet afterwards. And I had the pleasure of meeting Big Daddy a couple of times. And he was a big old fella.
Yeah.
Especially when you're my height.
Yeah, well, not only that, but I remember kind of seeing Giant Haystacks probably in the early 90s at the town hall in Oxford. And
I remember,
Yeah, and I used to see all the American wrestling. Well, I think it was All Star. Even then, we're going to talk a lot about All Star wrestling. But Brian Dixon's show would come to town every few months, and he's a very intimidating figure, right up close, Giant Haystacks.
He was one guy I never had the pleasure of meeting, unfortunately. Because as a heel, they didn't really come out afterwards for the meet and greets. No. Normally, it was Big Daddy and a couple of others, but. Yeah.
But obviously, leading on from your wrestling fandom to first getting interested in pro wrestling, and I mean, you said you've been in wrestling about 17, 18 years, so that's a good old time. But how did you kind of first get introduced to pro wrestling? What kind of how did you?
It's a bit of a funny story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know Flatliner?
Well, I'm familiar with the Flatliner, yes, because I know that he was a tag team partner of yours for many years.
That's
so,
right.
Tell me about it.
I first met him. I was doing a mini-me lookalike tribute act, and I'd met him at a bodybuilding competition down in Portsmouth, and I was part of the entertainment, and he booked me and a couple of others. I can't remember how he booked me. I think it was through word of mouth. So we got talking. And then I found out there was a show in Witney, in Oxfordshire. And he said, why don't you come along? So I went there, and it was Stu Allen's show, UK Dominator. I can't remember the company now, off the top of my head, from Hastings.
Right.
So I went to watch the show. I got there in the afternoon instead of the evening, and they were setting up the ring, and I met Stu Allen, the Bulks, the Pitbulls rather, Bulk and Dave. Yeah. I met them, and Chris Flatliner was there, and we were chatting away, and then somebody, I think it might have been Stu, said, do you want to have a go in the ring quickly? And this was in the afternoon, and they got one of their, what I call lightweights, one of their younger high flyers, not very, 3 or 4 or 5 stone heavier than me, not very big. So we went in there. I've never, ever set foot in a ring before. So we went in there, and within 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I was Samoan dropping him. And I was doing head scissors. And they were like, so they said, do you want to be in the show tonight? I was like, really? I've got no trainers. What I had on was all I had with me. So they said, yeah, we'll put you on the show. You can tag with the Pitbulls. So they're like, 30, 40 stone between them and myself. And we would, I ended up doing a match that night. And I've never trained. I've never set foot in the ring. It's something for any up-and-coming trainers not to recommend. And then from there, Flatliner spoke to Brian Dixon at All Star, and he invited me down to, I think it was Bognor Regis, Butlins, and I ended up doing a tag match with Flatliner, and it just went from there.
You were off to the races from there, yeah.
Yeah, it's just surreal. one of my first tag matches was against Drew McDonald, the Highlander.
Yeah.
And I can remember this was in the Skyline at Butlins in Bognor. And during the match, I pinned Drew. Not a 3 count, just a 2 count. And as I pinned him, he said to me, "Do you know what? I've been pinned by Big Daddy. Now I've been pinned by a fucking midget." And Drew being Drew, I never ever forget him saying that. That's something that stayed with me because he's worked with all the greats. And I mean, literally all the greats. He was a scout for WWE for many years.
Yeah.
And he knows a lot of the big guys in the UK and in America. And for him to say that about me, I it's something that always stayed with me. Yeah.
It's a hell of a compliment.
Pinned by Big Daddy, now by a bloody midget. It's like, yeah.
So what was it like tagging with Flatliner for all them years? Because I think you and him had a really, really good partnership, a good relationship in the ring. For a good 3 or 4 years, you guys were kind of tag team partners solidly in your first 2 years. Tell us about it.
Flatliner's bonkers anyway. If you've ever seen his match where he gets he pulls his trousers down, he makes his trunk look like thongs. He does the old stink face in their faces. His ring music is absolutely crazy. He comes out with a feather boa and a cowboy hat. It worked so well with me and him for 3 or 4 years. And I will always have the most utmost respect for the man, and I love him dearly because he got me into the business. If it weren't for Flatliner, Little Legs wouldn't be here. He came up with the name.
Yeah.
And he came up with my ring music. All the small things, Blink 182. And Little Legs. Little Legs is a guy in the 50s, 60s that used to work with the Cray brothers. He was a dwarf. His autobiography saying how he used to work with the Cray brothers, and he was called Little Legs. And that's where the name comes from. So without Chris Flatliner, Little Legs wouldn't be here.
Yeah. And it's incredible to think that it kind of started out of nothing and almost by chance. And like I say, 18 years in the business. And,
let's be honest.
Yeah.
Being a dwarf, as much as I would love wrestling like anybody else, yourself, I never dreamt of being a wrestler because to me, a wrestler is 6'21", 20 stone, built like a brick shit house.
Yeah.
And all these other guys. And I never thought it was real. So it never was something in my head. I've done a lot of acting jobs, entertainment jobs, and it wasn't one that I really expected because Hornswoggle started after me.
Right.
So, so I never had someone I'm not going to say look up to, look across to follow. And I'm the only dwarf wrestler in Europe.
Well, I was going to ask, Mark, I mean, because through my research, I couldn't really find many, mini wrestlers or dwarf wrestlers to speak of, besides yourself, really. So, I mean...
Not since the 70s, I believe.
No.
There used to be a mini Big Daddy and a mini Haystack and stuff like that. But, no, not really.
I mean, outside of North America, you kind of don't really see many dwarf wrestlers, I suppose.
Mexico is very popular.
Yes, with their
mini
luchadors. Yes, mini luchas.
Really, really popular there.
Fantastic.
I've had the pleasure of meeting a few, and my God, they're good and all. Wow, even I wouldn't compete against them guys. Oh, they're crazy.
They really are, yeah. But I want to talk to you about. We spoke a bit about All-Star Wrestling, but the holiday camps now, because that's kind of All-Stars bread and butter, isn't it, really? And besides kind of touring the country, they tour the holiday camps during summer season and school holidays. And we spoke a little bit off air, Mark, about the number of kind of reps that you guys do, a dozen, 13, 14 shows a week possibly. But what was your first experience of the holiday camps then, Mark? Because
mine was at Butlins, doing
tell
the
us
3
about it.
camps at Minehead, Skegness, and Minehead, Skegness, and Bognor Regis. We were travelling 1,600 miles a week.
Wow.
Just to do the 3 camps. We would go around twice every week. And to me, the camps are the best.
Yeah.
Any up-and-coming wrestler that's watching now, get on the camps. They are the best places to learn. And I know some other guys have told you already, Terrence, Dino, and some of them guys, the camps are the best to learning because they're not paying customers. It's part of their entertainment package. So they're there to be entertained. They don't always want to see a triple somersault off the top rope. They just want to watch entertainment and they want to have a laugh. They've never seen it before, half of them. Yeah. They don't know what to expect. And it's just the best place. And the atmosphere is great. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I missed during the pandemic, absolutely missed the camps. Didn't always miss the town shows, but the camps is just the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned, Dino and Tyson Taylor and Tucker and one or two others that have been on this show, and Tyson T-Bone, now yourself, they all kind of cut their teeth on the holiday camps, and they've all said the same thing because of the number of reps you're putting in, like I say, 12, 13, 14 shows a week. You're going to
and that includes putting the ring up and down every time.
Absolutely.
So we work as a team.
You're going to learn quickly and you're going to learn to a very high level. And this is why, you got the likes of Dean Allmark, one of the best wrestlers, not just in the UK, but possibly the world, because of, those repetitions. And, he was able to kind of hone his craft like so many others. And it really does, like I say, it's fantastic entertainment for those watching, but it's an amazing experience. You can't buy that type of experience and that type of education doing the holiday camps.
For me, anybody can be a wrestler. But it's difficult to learn how to work the crowd. And the camps are the best place to work the crowd.
Yeah.
And if you can't do the camp, you can't do it anywhere.
No, and this is it. And you're entertaining, like you say, potentially non-wrestling fans who's never seen a live wrestling match before. So you're getting kind of raw emotion, raw reactions. They're either going to like it or hate it. So that's what I like about it. We spoke a bit off air about Dean Allmark, Tyson Taylor, Tucker, and all the others. So I'm going to bring up another picture because, you said you missed a lot of the boys during the pandemic, but you got a great bunch of guys there. From when you guys were last together. It looks like a reasonably recent photo.
There's only about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah.
You guys are like a family, aren't you? And whenever you meet up, you're kind of very, very close, and it's almost like a day hasn't passed. But tell us what some of these guys mean to you.
You're living on the road with them for 6 weeks at a time. You're at home maybe 1 day a week. So you're living in each other's cars or minibuses. You're with them longer than you are with a girlfriend or your wife or, whatever. And, and the camaraderie is just so much fun. A few of the people I've worked with have either traveled or retired recently. So I don't see a lot of them now. Like Ringo Ryan Ambrose, he moved to New Zealand. I miss him dearly, and he was so much fun. And Rob Dynamite, he retired 3-4 years ago. To me, he was one of the best in the business, full stop. Some of the ideas that he used to come up with in my matches were just bonkers. And then when we did it, it was the funniest thing ever. Like he'd be on the top rope ready to do a diver cross on me. but instead of hitting me, you dive over the top of me. And I'll be like, when you think about it, it's like, really? But when you actually do it, 2,000 people or 1,000 or 500, whatever, on the camps, it was the funniest thing ever, And, I would suplex him. I shouldn't be able to do that. But we worked together where I would suplex him.
Yeah.
Or I would powerbomb him. I shouldn't be able to do that. But he'd jump at me on the middle rope, land on the middle rope. I come through and powerbomb him off the rope. So it's like he's just such a legend. And I was gutted he retired. I'm missing dearly. Rob, if you're there, come back.
Yeah, I know. When I spoke to Dino a few months ago, he was singing Dynamite's praises for sure, Robbie Dynamite. But
absolutely.
Because besides the tag matches you used to take part in, Mark, you were also involved in quite a few battle rules as well, weren't you? And the battle rules must have been a lot of fun. You were in there with the likes of Robbie Brookside, Danny Boy Collins, Robbie Dynamite, Dean Allmark, Doug Williams was in a few of them that you were in, PCO, and so many
Daniel
others.
Bryan.
Yeah, really? So you was in a battle with Daniel Bryan.
When you come over here, I've done a Rumble against Jake the Snake.
No way.
Yeah, quite a few years ago now. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're great ones. They can be scary because a lot of them are over the top rope.
Yeah.
And for me, over the top, down there.
That's a long way down.
I'm like this. I mean, I remember one time I was working with Ryan Mason from WWE.
Yeah.
Barry Griffiths.
Yeah.
Gladiator. He had a few names here. Do you remember Ryan Mason? And he used to work with Nexus.
That's right.
From Wales. And I can remember I was in the Rumble. There's about 4 of us left. So Barry lifted me straight up in the air. And so he's 6'6", 6'7", and this was in a sports centre. So you can imagine how hard the floor is.
Yeah.
And then you had Whippy from Scotland on the outside, and Barry had thrown me from top setting of a wrestling ring, and I'm up there. So we're probably 12, 15 feet in the air, and Whippy's on the outside, and he just launched me, and I went flying. And my God, I had a couple of whiskeys after that, and
let's hope there was a few guys out there to catch you, because
there was only him. But thankfully, obviously he did. But I'm still here. But I tend not to do too many rumbles if I can help it. But unless I win.
Well, this is it.
I win a couple, but
That's great. And we spoke about Flatliner as your first tag team partner for several years, but you had a few other tag team partners as well, didn't you? I mean, Dean Allmark, we've spoken about him already today. Frankie Sloan, James Mason, Tony Spitfire. Any fond memories of some of them other tag team partners of yours, then, Mark?
Oh, I've worked with so many. Who have I worked with? Zach Knight. And his sister, Saraya, which a lot of you know is Paige.
Paige from WWE, of course. Yeah.
I've worked with so many now. It's just half of it. I prefer to work with the young up and coming lads that have just started, because my match is a comedy match. It's not their normal wrestling match, because ours is so different, or my match is so different. It's a great one to learn with from a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say, Mark, of course, we're live. So anybody that's watching us live at home on Facebook Live, on YouTube or Twitch, please feel free to send in your comments or questions for Mark E. Sealey. And if you want them answered during this live broadcast, just send them across, and we'll do our best to answer them during this live broadcast. But you mentioned the Knights there, and Zach and Saraya.
We know it's a great Paige, family.
And obviously the father,
Ricky
Knight, and
Ricky Senior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great family. How were you first introduced to them? Because I know that you've become very close to them over the years, and you've wrestled for WAW quite a few times, thanks to your relationship with the Knights. But how were you first introduced to them?
Obviously, it was all through All Star with Brian Dixon. When I call her Raya, Paige. She was 15, 16. We used to do a 2-on-1 against her mum. And there was a great story one day where towards the end of the match, I run at Saraya and she booted me in the head. And because of her work issues, they had like zigzag patterns on the bottom of the shoes, on the sole. And because she hit me so hard, I had W prints on my head for about an hour. And then it was in a theatre show. We were actually only talking about this the other week, funny enough. And in the wing was a Klondike cake.
Yeah.
And even she went, ooh, that was a bit stiff. So, yeah, I had these shoe prints on my head. But working with Raya, when she was 15, 16, and then she got the job at WE, I was so pleased and proud for her. And Ricky Senior and Saraya, I love working with. And then you got Roy and Zach. I mean, Zach, I knew when he was 14, 15, when he used to be a Zodiac Kid.
Yes.
And Roy was Zebra Kid.
Yeah.
I just loved working with. I still do now. I was only with them about 3 weeks ago. I did a week on the camps for WAW, and just absolutely love working with that family. They are just so nice, so welcoming, and old school like myself.
Yeah.
And
you got the younger generation coming through now as well, haven't you? With Ricky Knight Jr. doing some amazing things on the independents, and I'm sure that there's going to be an even
he's going to be
WWE
soon, and
absolutely.
Japan as well.
He's got it all, isn't he?
I'll be shocked if he don't.
Yeah, no, and he's out there kind of going up against the best at the moment, so he's only going to get better. But I mean, I mentioned that you worked for the Knights WAW. Any fond memories? Any matches that you recall working over in Norwich or with the Knights in WAW?
I did the Fightmare 2 in Norwich at Norwich Football Club, and that was about
Carroll Road a couple of years ago. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, when there was between 4,000 and 5,000 people watching it, and we had Mick Foley, the legend Mick Foley. He was on the show.
Nick Aldis was on there as well, the former NWA champion. Yeah,
that's right. And Brody Steele was over from Canada, and they had who used to be with the DX, the tag team, the blonde.
Oh, Billy Gunn. Yeah.
Billy Gunn, he was on there. And Chris Holly. Yeah, they were, it was a great bill. It was a long old day. I did the Rumble on that show, by the way.
Right.
I didn't win it, unfortunately, but I had the honor of being number one out. So I had the big intro at the beginning. And then it was, the first two was me and Barbarian. And I sort of tried to kick his butt, but after about 4 entries, he threw me out. So that didn't work very well. But just the honor of being there that day was all mine. And I'll be, forever debt to the WAW for inviting me that day. And great day, great weekend.
Yeah, because we had, I don't know if you remember, a big guy, Winston, who was in the main event of that show at Carroll Road, and he was on the podcast not long ago. And because I think he was in the match with Billy Gunn and one or two others. But he said it was a fantastic day, and the sun was shining, and there was 4,000 or 5,000 people there.
We were lucky with the weather, so yeah.
One of them days that you'll always remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
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 Let's switch subjects to your acting then, Mark, because I'm very, very curious about this, because you've kind of been in everything from things on the small screen to things on the big screen and Hollywood productions, and pretty much everything in between, Mark. But how did you kind of get into acting? I think we spoke a bit off air, and you said you were very young when you got into acting. But what kind of fascinated you about acting, and what made you want to become an actor?
When I was a kid, I always wanted to be acting. I enjoyed drama at school. I did a couple of kid ITV children programs on during school, and we had visitors like Robert Powell and a few other actors that came and spoke to us. So I got interested in it, and then the new theatre in Oxford. You might remember it as the Apollo many years ago. My friend was stage manager there, and they had the Snow White production coming up, and they found out that one of the dwarfs, female obviously, was pregnant, so she had to drop out. And my friend, the stage manager, said, "Well, I know someone. He's only 16. He's never worked, but would you take him on?" So they said yes. So I did that production that year, and the other guy said, "Well, we have an agency, and the agency is called Willow, Warwick Davis."
Yep.
If you know from the film Willow.
Absolutely.
And from Tenable, Life Too Short.
And the original Star Wars films. I think he was Wicket in Return of the Jedi. Know it very well.
Right. Yeah. So I got invited onto his agency. And then from there, from 16, well, even up to now, they only rang me yesterday. So, once you're in there, it's great.
What were some of your early roles then, Mark? What were some of your early acting roles? Do you remember?
We did, I done 4 Harry Potters. Yeah. As one of the goblins in Gringotts. So we had 11 years of that. I first met Daniel Radcliffe and Emma and Ron when they were 11, and then they were 22 when I did the last one.
Wow.
And then after that was Fantastic Beasts. I did a little bit of work in that. What else have I done? Celebrity Juice with Keith Lemon. I did 3 or 4 episodes of them. Just a little bit, nothing major, but a little bit.
The Harry Hill movie as well. And
yes, I was the boxer in the ring. Kept shouting, "Tickle him, tickle him," and that's when I had a wig on, and I always said that made me look like a Nicolas Cage from Con Air when he had the long hair. I said, "Yeah, that's me," So and then I went to Hollywood once.
Go on.
And worked with Jim Henson from the Muppets.
Yes.
I did a film called
Ruby, was it? Buddy, that's right, with Robbie Coltrane
and Rene Russo. And I played a gorilla. And I wore a $1.2 million costume.
Wow.
And this was back in 96. So, I don't know what it'd be worth nowadays, money, but that was all animatronics. So that was 3 months training in London and then 3 months living in on the Hollywood Hills. So that was great fun. Something I'll never forget.
You've done a Big Fat Gypsy Gangster and
with Buller.
Life's Too Short with the actor you just
Warwick
mentioned.
Davis.
Yeah, Warwick Davis, of course.
And I was the autograph hunter with Right Said Fred.
Oh, that's brilliant. But what was it like being on kind of the set of a Harry Potter? I mean, the biggest movie franchise in the history of cinema, and you said you was in 4 of those movies. What was that like kind of when it was happening? I mean, you was there on the very first movie and the very last movie as well, weren't you?
I mean, that must have been pretty special. The first movie, the budget was only about, I say only, 20 million, for an example. I can't remember exactly what it was. And every shoot was on location. Like the Gringotts Bank was filmed at the Australian Embassy in London in their banquet hall, which was downstairs. They completely completely converted it into a bank. And then on the 3, 4, and 7, they built it on set at Leeds Studio, where the Harry Potter tour is now.
I've been there a few times myself.
Studio
Love
behind.
It. Yeah.
So they completely rebuilt it on set. And the reason they did that is that when they film, if they want to take a big, massive pillar out the way so they can put the camera there, or if they want to take the wall of the bank out the way so that they can film there, they can do. On set, you could only work with what you had.
Yeah.
So you were restricted. But on set, you just go, all right, we'll take that 30-foot wall out and we just put the camera, you know, it just, but to watch Leeds Studio grow from where it was on the first film to what it is now, which is a major tourist attraction just outside London, it's just phenomenal. Because it was a Second World War airfield.
Right.
The original studios. And now it's just a proper multi-million-pound studio and tour owned by Warner Brothers.
Absolutely love it. I've been there, I think, 3 times myself since it's opened.
I haven't been yet.
You need to. It is absolutely magical. And you know,
I don't really want to buy a ticket, but you know, I do need to go.
just tell him at the booth.
I'll just ring him up. Yeah.
Or get Warwick to send you a VIP pass through the post.
Yeah, right.
But what were your kind of fondest memories of being on some of the big film sets? And I mean, obviously you met a lot of amazing actors and had some great experiences. But what are some of the fondest memories of being an actor on some of them big sets to yourself then, Mark?
I mean, on Harry Potter, on some of the scenes, we have 60 dwarfs in one scene.
Yeah.
All going through 4 hours of makeup each. You know, they were long days, hard days, great fun. I mean, one of the lucky things about J.K. Rowling's is all the actors had to be Great British. If you look at the whole cast, or damn near the whole cast of all 8 films, they're all from the UK. And the crew were from the UK. The extras were from the UK. Everything was filmed in the UK. Fantastic Beasts isn't.
No,
if you look at that,
American.
American. But Harry Potter was all UK based, so that was great fun. And she didn't like the use of computers. You know, like in Lord of the Rings, the big fighting scene where you got 2,000 orcs and whatever other in the army. They were all computer generated. They might only be 4, but they turned the 4 into 2,000. In Harry Potter, what you saw was almost what it was.
Yeah.
So it was great for us. So we had work for 11 years, whether it was in front of the camera or behind the camera, or whether it was stunt work. You know, we were busy for 11 years. I was lucky because I lived quite close to Watford, which is only, less than an hour.
Yeah.
They could ring me up and say, can you do tomorrow? Yeah. We need somebody to stand in, body double, or we need you to do some wire flying. Okay. So you go in and just, they were great. I miss the Harry Potter days.
Do you occasionally watch the films back to see if you can spot yourself then, Mark?
I try not to. I've never seen all 8 films all the way through yet. I'm not a great fan of watching myself on TV anyway. A lot of actors will tell you the same. They hate watching themselves, or they hate hearing their voices, or, you know.
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, what they have you've done now, you can't moan about your work because it's already done.
That's right.
And it's out in the cinema or whatever. Yeah. A lot of actors are self-critical.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. And a final question regarding your acting: have you ever been able to keep any mementos from any of the productions that you've been a part of? Any kind of souvenirs or any mementos? Any costumes?
I know some of the other guys have, but I'm probably not as naughty as them. Like in the Harry Potter days. I remember at Australian Embassy, they had all the Gringotts coins and stuff like that, and all of them used to pocket them and all that. I mean, I was stupid enough not to have done it, but yeah, they used to come with pocket the coins in there, and they would sell them on eBay 10 years later.
Oh,
And
I bet.
Yeah. I'm normally quite good with that.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Let's switch back to wrestling then. Extreme Dwarfinator's Wrestling. So that was over here in the UK around 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
it's an American group, isn't it? And they came over here for a tour during 2018, 2019. You were part of that UK tour. What are your kind of memories of being part of Extreme Dwarfinators? Because it got a lot of interest in press coverage, but was very, very popular with the fans. Certainly those that attended. The production was fantastic. You had some great action, and it really kind of got over, to be honest with you. And you had some great shows, but had kind of mixed reviews from kind of more mainstream press. But you also had your supporters as well, didn't you?
I was quite lucky because I saw them advertising on Facebook, and I've never met them before, never heard of them. And I cheekily sent them a messenger message, and they said, "Oh yeah, we've heard of you. Come and join us." So I joined them. We did where did we do now? Bristol. I did about 4 shows with them.
Cardiff, I think, was one of the venues.
Yeah, Cardiff one. Cardiff got cancelled.
Oh right, okay.
Because of this issue, people were complaining that it was becoming a circus show, a sideshow, a freak show. Oh, you shouldn't have a team of dwarf wrestling. And we had about 3 venues cancelled on us, and it got really annoying. And this was before we started, so we got hold of Sean McMahon, who we spoke about earlier, and he's very good in marketing and PR.
Yeah, great guy, by the way. Great guy.
Dwarfinators got hold of him. And so what we arranged was they sent over, I think it was about 3 dwarfs from America, from this group, and myself. And over 2 days, we just hammered every news and press outlet. We did Channel 5, BBC, ITV, Sky, Good Morning Britain, every paper going in the whole country. And we just hammered great Good Morning TV. Breakfast was great with Piers Morgan, because he was a great supporter of ours. And that day they brought in one of our guys and another dwarf. He was opposed to it. He was a doctor or something like that. And so in the studio they had them 2 arguing away with Piers, and then me and a couple of others. We were in a gym and we were wrestling in the background. It's on Good Morning TV now. You can find it on YouTube. And Piers Morgan absolutely supported us all the way. And, we're very grateful for him. And even though we lost a couple of venues, they ended up being sold out. And then that's it. That's one of the pictures.
There we go.
That one, I think, was in Wales somewhere. And
that's a great picture. A great picture.
I was knackered after that, by the way, as you can tell. But a couple of months after that, I got invited over to America for 3 weeks. So I went and toured over there with them.
Wow, that's brilliant.
And I had Little Legs, obviously, but my ring music was the national anthem.
Superb. Yes,
so
flying the flag for the UK.
All the rednecks in America absolutely hated all that. So I'm hopefully going back out either later this year or early next year. And when I do, I'm going out as Nick Upper Murphy.
It's got to happen.
I'm going to do Nick Upper. I think that works so well over there.
That'd be such a great gimmick for the American audience. They will eat that up all day long. They really, really will.
Absolutely.
But I'd say overall, your kind of Extreme Dwarfinator experience was a positive one. Would you say?
Eventually, after all this palaver of complaints and opposition. Even local councillors were opposed to it in some of the areas. Liverpool, we had that problem, and we invited her to come and watch the show. And at the very last moment, surprise, surprise, she didn't come.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when we did the show, there weren't any problems at all.
No.
It was, especially after that 2 days of mass press stuff.
I remember it very well.
It was great because it was free advertising for us.
Yeah, it drew more eyes to the product.
You couldn't even pay for that. The stuff we were doing, Talk Sport, you can't even pay for that.
No, it really was fun. I remembered it when it all went off, and I even interviewed Sean around that time as well. And
one of our arguments was, if we don't like to do something, we will not do it.
Yeah.
As wrestlers, as dwarfs, as disabled people, if we don't like to do something, we won't do it. We love wrestling. We love having a laugh. People stare at me. So I might as well get paid to be stared at.
Yeah. But, if you guys were offended by the situation, then but you weren't offended. You were kind of, embracing the opportunity to perform and do what you love, professional wrestling.
It's our career.
Yeah.
We want to make people laugh with us, and laugh at us.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, a curious question. I might be 100% off the mark with this one, but am I right in thinking that you have had your own WWE experience as part of a DX skit?
No, I haven't worked with the WWE. No, unfortunately not. When they were looking at Hornswoggle, or looking for a Hornswoggle, they did look at me in the UK. I don't know whether it was Drew put in a word or something like that. I don't know. But unfortunately, I had a major operation on my ankles and knees at the time. And I ended up being in a wheelchair for over a year. And unfortunately, it didn't come off. But who knows?
Right. Okay.
I'm still happy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I wasn't 100% sure. I thought I'd check with you on a possible WWE experience, but so close. Yeah. So as we kind of wind this interview to kind of a conclusion, I've got a couple of final questions for you there, Mark. First of all, you've been part of the wrestling business for going on 18 years. You've had some awesome opportunities, some fantastic experiences with some of the biggest names in the industry. But what's some of the most fun that you've had in a wrestling ring, or some of the most fun you've had around the boys?
The camps.
Yeah.
They were just the best time. When we were at Havens, we do 12, 14 a week. When we did Butland, we would do 6 a week. And, there were a lot of travel, 1,600, 1,800 miles a week. They're great fun. You do 2 or 3 shows a day on some of them. Hard work, and you got to put the ring up and put the ring down as well. It's not just wrestling for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You got an hour to get the ring up, probably an hour to take it down, then travel to the next venue. But afterwards we go to the next camp, get the caravan, and we might go out for a drink, and it's just so much great fun. Just wrestling is a family. Especially on the long job like that. You're living together, you're eating together, and it just, the camps are the best for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the town shows, obviously, because they're the real wrestling fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
the camps for me are just the best time.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of camaraderie and just being around the boys and the fun. But final question for me then, Mark. And what's some of the proudest moments that you've had in your career? Whether it be acting, whether it be wrestling, where you can look back on it and say, "Yeah, I did that," and almost have to pinch yourself. But some of your proudest
at the moment,
moments.
I'm 47 years old. I don't look it, by the way, but yes, I'm 47 years old and I'm still wrestling.
Yeah.
If I can do another 10 years. That'll be my proudest moment. But, I mean, working with all the guys, Chris Mann, Zach Knight, James Mason, people, Bainbridge, Rob Dynamite, Drew, and the guys I'm working with now, I love giving advice to the young lads and girls, you know, like Taylor and all that. I just love watching them, you know, telling them things like less is more. You don't always have to do this, or you could do this. I mean, I'm not a wrestler as such. I'm an entertainer. The stuff I do in the ring makes you laugh. What these guys do, they wrestle.
Yeah.
You know, so for me to be able to give advice on how to entertain, on how to work the crowd, it's just a pleasure for me, because I can't teach you how to do something off the top rope. That's not my mantra, you know. But to work the crowd, to entertain, that's what I know best.
Yeah.
And I just love giving advice to the young people. And Kneecap Murphy's going to go. He, my next project.
There we go. Kneecap Murphy, Little Legs, Marquis Sealey. It's been an absolute honour and a privilege and a pleasure to speak to you. And if anybody wants to reach out and say hi to you, I know you're on Facebook, but if they want to say hi to you, how can they find you and say hello?
On Facebook or through you. I'm, like I say, I'm 47, so I don't do Instagram. I don't do TikTok. I don't do all these.
I think your quote was, "I'm too old for that shit."
Yeah, you said it. Yeah, absolutely.
But just search Marquis Sealey or go through the Johnner's Facebook page and you'll find him very, very easily. But Marquis Sealey, it's been amazing speaking to you. Thank you very much, my friend. I've had a blast.
Been a pleasure.
Take care, buddy.